Originally dubbed a glitchy mess, The Sims 3 Island Paradise has come quite a long way in recent years. With a couple of mods and a fixed world map, Isla Paradiso is quickly becoming a fan favorite among simmers. But even with all these conveniences, are the builds themselves any good? What's up guys, Rakowski here, and today we are finishing judging and rating all of the builds in Isla Paradiso. Before we get started, please do not, I repeat, do not forget to like this video, and if you enjoy Sims games that aren't The Sims 4, then I highly suggest that you hit that subscribe button as well. Thank you so much. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get into the video. So here in Canada, it is like cold and hailing even though it's turning into summer, so I'm so glad we're back in Isla Paradiso. What's up guys? I'm really excited to get this thing going. If you remember from the last episode, we actually had some really good builds for a change. I was really impressed with the colors, the creativity with the houseboats, and even just like I said in the last episode, the world is just so stunning. And I know it's been like over a week since the last video, and usually I get them out a little bit sooner, but I was just like really wanting to savor this because it was one of the nicest ones that we've seen, and I'm a little afraid for what's to come next. But of course, since this is the last episode of Isla Paradiso, head over to my community tab when you're finished with the video, and then that way you can vote on which world we see next. We only have a few more to go, so I have to figure out what to do after. I don't know if I want to do the unoccupied houses or if I want to switch to a different game. So let me know your thoughts on that down below. But for now, we're still here in Isla Paradiso, still here in The Sims 3, so let's get started, shall we? First up is kind of quirky. It's my first research facility. My initial impressions is that this reminds me of two other builds. It reminds me of the Sims 2 Curious House, like where they have like the telescope on the roof. Obviously it's up there as well. That was the first thing I looked for. And the other thing it reminds me of is the Cotton Eye House, which is in Riverview. And he's like a conspiracy theorist and like tinfoil hat and all that stuff. And although this build is not that pretty, it really kind of like suits the vibe because it's way out here, like in the middle of nowhere. It's kind of on its own island, and the concept is that she's a scientist and needs like a private place to do all of her experiments. So I think this is like the perfect kind of build for that. And I notice a lot of very nice architectural details. Love the fence, love the random street light, love the tower, love the solar panels, and the windowing is remarkably good for this kind of build, so well done. Okay, let's jump inside. The first thing I notice is that there's absolutely no color, but there's lots of little details. So if you can see here, you can lock someone in here and play chess. Love that. And I kind of like the gray color palette. I like the walls being stone. They didn't make them like a stupid wallpaper or anything, but like I said, like the Victorian furniture, I know it's base game, but there are better things that you could have chosen. However, I will give commendations to this bathroom because look at this thing. Not a green toilet in sight. Absolutely love it. I mean, it's not a house per se, and it's not a build for everybody, but like I love storytelling, and especially in The Sims 3, when you have a bunch of other Sims running around and living their life, I like it to just make sense without having me to intervene, and this build really does that. I'm gonna give this an 8.5. I know I complain about colors a lot, but like creativity above all else, and it definitely takes creativity to make a build like this. Well done. Next up is our first houseboat. I must admit, when I first heard the name, I thought this is gonna be basic and boring, and from the thumbnail, it kind of looked like that, but coming up close, I really like it. I know it might just be like the lighting mod hitting it beautifully, but I mean, like they did a really good job. I thought it was gonna be too top heavy. I disagree. I thought it would be missing windows, but I don't really need the windows up here. The downstairs has a ton of windows, and I love the balconies. I love the color scheme. Like it's muted, but it isn't completely like grayscale or anything, so it still sticks out and kind of fits in with the world. Actually, this wood is kind of like the color of sand, like movie sand, you know? Okay, that's about it for the cubism outside. Let's just jump inside and see what we got. The first thing I notice is the extremely small kitchen, which I actually like. Oh, and they did a little backsplash on it. I like when they do like small kitchens or just kind of like the essentials, because especially like with tiny living in The Sims 4, like we've had lots of experience trying to cram things in together, and it looks like they were trying to do that even back in The Sims 3 days. Also, just so I don't get like a random comment about it, yes, I noticed the bathroom is not green. Love it. Isla Paradiso is great for that. The upstairs bathroom is also not green, which is fabulous. And it has a shower and a bathtub, which is something some of the nice houses forget, like they don't have showers for some reason. Now, I noticed that there is a garage door on the second floor, and it's probably just because they want like the door, like the window or whatever. So if that's what they're going for, that's fine. If they thought it was a window, no, right? Because we remember in that one build, like in Twinbrook, we had the garage door at the back of the house into the kitchen, and like they didn't properly align it to the road. And anyway, it was like a mess. And I do like to talk about efficiency too, and this is perfect. Like you have like the bed next to the one bathroom, you have like the office up here. Downstairs, you go right into the kitchen, and the bathroom is like the furthest away from the bedroom downstairs, so you can kind of grab it on your way out the door. I love it. This is actually really good. This houseboat hits a lot of the marks that a lot of the other worlds miss, so I really like it. Even though it's very basic, it's modern but still stylish and well balanced. I like it. I'm gonna give this one a 9. If you're not attached to this family, honestly, I don't even know who they are, so I would honestly just like delete them and take the house myself, because this is definitely something that I would be interested in playing in. Next up, hiding behind the bushes, is Sea House. Now, if you are familiar with my content, you will probably know that I adore this color scheme, like right off the bat. Like a pink and a teal, I'm down for. This is a little too minty for me, but then they used like this little bit of like a turquoise color for the windows and door. I really like it, and I love how they picked a black roof. There's lots of details like these eaves troughs on the side. Now, that being said, I don't know if eaves troughs like this are actually gonna like work. I know they don't work in the game, but things like that bother me. Ooh, I really like the yellow chair here, because I think yellow is a good color to kind of tie these in together, but I wouldn't want like a yellow roof or something crazy, right? And it's like a beautiful beach lot. Houses like this are kind of tricky to make, and I like how it's hidden away kind of behind here. So as long as there's no routing issues, I would love this kind of style. Now, it does have a lot of the EA window problems, as we can see. They just like to put them kind of wherever suits them. Actually, this side isn't too bad. Okay, not much else to say. Let's jump inside. Oh my God, is that a green bathroom? Not really. It's more of like a turquoise. I was caught off guard for a second, but the toilet is white and the sink is white. So if they wanted to do green tile, who am I to say any different, right? Ooh, the kitchen is nice and small too. They're really big on small kitchens. Maybe that's like a houseboat or beach thing, but I really like it. And in like a more modern house, I don't mind when the kitchen's at the front door. That's actually kind of like normal. And again, like they're really good with the layouts. Like I'm looking here, like the bedroom kind of out here, right into the bathroom in the morning. Then you go out to the kitchen, finish your food, and then out the door to work. So that's really nice. Some of the houses we've seen in this world, you have to go like upstairs 2 floors and across the hallway to get one of your needs met, and you know it's just going to be a disaster. And it's really hard to get a bold color like this for a window to work on the inside and the outside. And in fact, in Create Style, you could just change the inside to a brown and leave the outside as a turquoise, but I like the touch of the turquoise windows inside because they didn't go crazy with color on the inside. In fact, their normal wall is kind of like a baby poo, but they balance it out, right? And I think it's just like a little bit fun. It's a small house, and I don't know, I think it's like right on par with the rest of the world. I mean, it's small, it's creative, it's a little bit weird, and there's a few things that I don't exactly agree with, but I mean, we've definitely seen worse, and we've definitely seen worse in other worlds. I'm gonna give this one a 7.5. I know I'm just in like a 0.5 mood today. It isn't quite an 8, but I just don't feel like it's a 7. I'm always trying to think like, what scores did I give other houses in this world? And I think this slots right at a nice solid B. Next up is Sea Spirit. I must admit, from like the worldview, this was one of the ones I was really excited to review because I really just enjoyed what it looked like from a distance. So let's go up nice and close. I don't hate the color combination. It's a little bit bold, but again, a little bit more my style. Even if I don't love the orange, I think it goes really well with this pale green. If they did like a Sunset Valley green, I would have lost it. And the windowing is like immaculate. I love how they just do like the whole wall of windows, ignore windows on this side, because that's kind of how real modern houses are. Not sure about houseboats, but when I researched houseboats, they come in all different shapes and sizes. So I'm really not like looking at these like this could be a houseboat or this couldn't, because from what I've seen, literally anything can be a houseboat as long as it doesn't tip over. Okay, so far so good. This might be a 10 if the inside's good. So let's just pop inside and see. Okay, spoke too soon, but I mean, it isn't too bad. It kind of reminds me of the houseboat that I built, because mine was kind of big and empty in the middle, but apparently that's just how it goes. Love the 3-tile half bathroom. Again, I love seeing like the tiny home incorporations into these builds, and I guess that makes sense because the houseboat lots are only so big. I chose the smallest houseboat lot when I built mine, and it kind of wasn't enough room, and I usually have too much room when I'm building. The kitchen is nice and small, love it. This one has 4 counters, which is probably better so you can prepare the food a little better. And then going upstairs, again, we do not have a green main bathroom. I love it. And I've noticed that they always put the steering wheel kind of on the second floor, and that's something that I didn't do. I'm glad that they had like the foresight to do that, but at the end of the day, it isn't like super stylish. Like, it's kind of got that modern palette, but I don't love the colors for the inside. I don't like the striped wallpaper. It doesn't really go with like the modern aesthetic or the houseboat, quite frankly. But I'm glad I don't see any Victorian furniture this time. Sorry to get your hopes up, but I mean, like, it's still a really nice houseboat. I love the colors on the outside. The inside was a little underwhelming, but I mean, if you look at the sim who lives here, he doesn't look that stylish anyway. I'm gonna give this one a 9. It's also worth noting that this world is kind of confusing because it's a bunch of islands and I always lose my place, and having a houseboat like in bright orange is really helpful because if you want to find like a way to go home, it's going to be a lot easier for you. Next up is Solitude, another creative build that isn't really like on the pretty side, but I don't think it's important. This is really funky. It kind of reminds me of like a pre-resort kind of lot, like before you start building it up, but let's kind of see what's going on here. I may not fully understand this, so let's just jump inside. I think the outside speaks for itself. I want to see what's going on here. First of all, the bathroom being like in its separate room, we know that's not going to be efficient, but this build is not really meant for efficiency. It's definitely meant more for the storytelling. I kind of love the upstairs. I love how these are like made as like the coffee tables, like you just have like coolers sitting down, because it doesn't look like this guy's got a lot of money, right? I have no idea why this farm tower is here, by the way, so if someone could explain that or knows why, that would be fantastic. Or it could just be something weird that EA did, so who knows. I love, again, the small kitchen, right up my alley. What I don't love is the fridge and the stove next to each other because that's just unrealistic. But I mean, I'm getting nitpicky, and wait a minute, look at this. He has a little swan boat as like his boat. Everyone else has these boring speedboats. That's actually a plus for me. I'm gonna incorporate that into my ranking. Color-wise, I think they could have done a little bit better though, because with some of these funky builds, they do go a little bit above and beyond and kind of like splash some random bits of color. And for me, the primary red and blue just are not doing the trick. I don't mind the chairs, the red, but I think it needed a little extra something because those aren't really island colors. If you remember a lot of the other houses, we have a lot more bright things like turquoises, fuchsias, pinks, things like that. But coming back out, like, it looks kind of funky, and I don't see this like looking out of place. If you stuck this in like any other world, it wouldn't make any sense. But I think for Isla Paradiso, it's a really great idea. And overall, like, it takes a lot of building skill to do all these different levels with the columns and stuff. I don't know, I'm gonna give it a 6. It's definitely one of my least favorite houses in Isla Paradiso. However, it still has like that whole story element, so I can't even give it a bad score. Next up is Spirit of the Sea. Now this is what I was talking about by the island colors. Like, you have a splash of yellow, a splash of a pale blue, a splash of a nice green, and even this like beachy sand color siding is all right. I love the whole thing kind of like together as well, which is really hard to do with colors like this. I love the balcony details, love the chairs. It may not be the most efficient thing, but I don't mind sacrificing efficiency if there's like a reason for it, like if it looks nice. One critique though is the roofing is a little bit simple and maybe perhaps a little bit too high up. I feel like even if they just like dipped them down a little bit, that would have been better. And I was expecting something a little bit more cohesive for the front here instead of just like 3 pieces. And especially when you have this diagonal door and just like the corners sticking off, it's a little bit lazy, but I'm just being picky. Let's jump inside. Okay, when I was happy about yellow, I was not expecting yellow walls, but I mean, at the end of the day, each house kind of has its own little style to it. And if you look, the yellow walls are not in the yellow one, and the peach walls are not in the peach house, right? So they kind of like rotated over, which I think was really nice because, again, it breaks it up a little bit. Looking at the bathrooms and kitchen, like nice and normal, efficient and nice and all that. I kind of like how the bedrooms are separate. It works really well because like your Sims don't always get along with each other, right? Especially if they have like clashing personalities. And this is either 2 male roommates or 2 gays or both. And that's not gonna go well in terms of getting along, I don't think. I mean, above all, this build is adorable, right? So I can't really give it too much slack. They tried like a few things. I really like the idea and the concept, and from what I've seen, they haven't really done another house quite like this, and this is probably my favorite house that ended up on all those like wooden pillars. I don't know, it kind of reminds me of island living but done nice, so I'm gonna give it a 7. I am so blown away by Isla Paradiso. I was sure that we just got lucky and we just got all of the nice houses in the first episode, but I mean, so far so good, and only a few more to go, so let's see what we can find. Next up is Surf Shack. Now, as much as I complain about green, if this house was not a bright color, it would definitely tank in points, but I love that it's just like a little like splash of color out in the middle of the island. It's definitely a home more for like an independent sim, if you know what I mean. Absolutely love the concept. Now, in terms of the shape, it's super simple. Like, I think anybody watching could easily recreate a build like this, but that doesn't necessarily take away from its charm because it just suits the vibe. Like, look how small this little island is. Like, just in terms of world creation, I absolutely love that. I also love the landscaping done here. Love how all the bushes are kind of dead in the front, but it still has that like island paradise aesthetic at the back. I don't know, I don't hate it. Let's jump inside. Hopefully I still don't hate it. Oh my God, I was just gonna say, where's the bathroom? But I noticed that at the back, they use that one tile bathroom. I always forget that that thing exists, but this is perfect for island paradise. This is kind of like the tiny living pack. Like, the more I go through this, like if you want to do like a tiny living kind of build, island paradise is like the pack to get. Even if you're not in this world, I would totally use this like shower toilet stall thing. I guess it's just because like of the limitation of like the lot sizes, right? But like inside, like nice and boring and basic, it didn't blow me away. I kind of wish there was like a little extra touch inside. Like, the outside is so bright, so why is the inside so boring, right? I don't know, it's a cute concept, but like I said, it doesn't really blow me away. And even though it is green, I'm glad it has color, but it needs more than just color to kind of like be a great build, if you know what I mean. Oh my God, and I just noticed that the two windows there, they're like not facing the same way. Like, one is facing outside, one is facing inside. I was gonna give it a 6, but now I'm gonna give it a 5. Detail is everything to me, and from what I've learned like from other simmers and also like myself building, is that sometimes like we'll spend an hour doing something that we don't think anyone will notice. I will notice, so always do it. Next up is the Modern Hideaway. I was gonna say yikes. I don't know if it's a yikes moment though. It's kind of nice. And again, like from a distance, I thought, oh, this is gonna be a little bit weird. But coming up close, I absolutely love the roofing, love the awnings. I love the white, but like it's not fully white. It's like an off-white that they chose for the siding. And the horizontal wood planks are like the perfect orangey brown. I find that in The Sims 3, they can never get the woods in a nice way, but in Island Paradise, it's been working out really well. I can also tell that the third floor is kind of like pretend, which is what I always do to make houses look bigger even when they're not, so well done. Let's jump inside and see what we get. Oh, what we get is some beautiful tree landscaping that I didn't even notice, and you see it right through the window. Absolutely love that. I see that this table is like a hint of purple, same with the counters. I love that, and like the purple and the white especially together works really well, and they broke it up with stainless steel appliances. I wouldn't have done anything different, to be honest. Ooh, even the bathroom is purple. I'm down for this purple color scheme because like outside purple would have been kind of a little bit too crazy, I think, especially for this kind of build, but inside it's working really nicely. And this wallpaper is giving me Fendi vibes, but I absolutely hate this picture. I used to love this picture until I started reviewing EA builds, and I just find that they're like, oh, a girl lives here, so we have to put a pink picture of lipstick. Like, anyway, it's just not for me. Ooh, upstairs bathroom is even nicer. I would have done tiles, but I mean, like, you can do woods. And if you look here, they actually did like little wooden details. I don't like them, but I can tell that they actually spent some time doing it. And the purple scheme like continues right through the upstairs too. It's like harmonious and everything. Well done. I'm kind of blown away, if I'm honest. Yeah, I thought about it for a bit, and like the more I look at it, like the less problems I have with it. Like, anything is just from me being like nitpicky or in a bad mood, but overall this is a solid build. It's cohesive, it works, it seems functional. I'm gonna give it a 10. Another 10. I can't believe I gave this a 10, but like, again, like the more I just circle around, like the more I see like all the little care and detail that they put into it, and I think things like that have to be commended. Next up is the Oasis, and if you can tell by my snarky tone, I don't really like it. This is actually a good example to kind of go off with our last house. This is not the right bright beige to use with this wood. I don't think it goes together. I think it falls really flat, and they tried a lot of details to kind of tie it all in, but this is all the same color as the other wood, so you can barely see it. And like the roof is just like a little EA Modern 101, if I'm honest, like doing the half walls around. Like this is stuff that like people who don't build modern builds do. No shade to little Simsy. Okay, let's just jump inside and see what we get. I'm still deciding what I feel about the brown. I don't hate the brown on the inside. I think the wall is actually quite dynamic and creative for a shade of brown. The floor is perhaps too dark and too light. I think the carpet could be darkened and the wood floor could be lightened a little bit. It doesn't have to be the same as the wall. It just needs to be a little bit different. Now, again, I noticed like a little more like of a Victorian style of like the dining chairs, which is something that doesn't really go with these kind of builds. Love the bathroom. Love the fact that I cannot believe there's not a green bathroom in Isla Paradiso. Guaranteed whoever was in charge of this world had nothing to do with Sunset Valley. And layout wise, it's like, you know, it could have been a little bit better. Like bedroom to the bathroom is fine, but then you got to go all the way around here to the kitchen, then all the way out here to the front door. I'm just thinking of like my Sims morning routines, and I'm trying to shave off like every second I can from the gameplay, and just so that way I can get more things done. And this house may not be the best for that. Is there an upstairs? There isn't even an upstairs. It kind of seemed like a big house to begin with. Yeah, like I said, this is a good example going off of the last house we did, because this one didn't quite get the colors right. It didn't harmonize inside properly. It was a little less efficient, and all those things kind of chip away at the score. But I mean, overall, we've seen way uglier modern houses in other worlds, but we haven't really in Isla Paradiso. So I'm gonna give this one a 5. It's just not really for me. And like the outside lights are inside lights. I don't really like the color scheme, and it's got that EA windowing thing going on too. So yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with 5. Next up is the Painted Lady. If they didn't call it the Painted Lady, I would have been a lot happier. For those of you who don't know, I'm a huge Victorian house fan, and a Painted Lady is like a specific kind of Victorian house, and this is not what it looks like. But I mean, I kind of like the idea and the concept. It's definitely the Isla Paradiso version of that. And it does have bold colors, which I usually enjoy, but these are not my colors. This blue is too royal. The pink is too pink. It's too saturated for me. And I know these houses are usually bright and colorful, but I definitely prefer its neighbors. We covered these in the last episode. I much preferred those color schemes, but that's just a personal choice. So let's just jump inside and see what we get. Oh, what we get is a white and gold kitchen. Once again, not my favorite kind of thing. Going into the living room, I can see what they're trying to do. Like blue and orange are complementary colors, but not this blue and orange, and not in this build. Going in here, I'm like, okay, it's a little bit small and cramped, but again, I really like the efficiency thing that they have going on with these builds. Ultimately, smaller builds are going to be more efficient unless they cram up, and that's the one thing I'm worried about. These hallways are very narrow, and like, can your Sims get through all these doors? Like, this is a 3-bedroom house, right? Enough room for 4 Sims, and I don't think this house is big enough for that. Okay, let's just get into like our final thoughts on this house. Now, I really like the idea. I think the name could have been chosen a little bit better, but ultimately this whole thing compared to the rest of the similar houses is not doing the trick for me. I don't think it's as efficient, I don't think it's as pretty, and I don't think it's as creative. I'm gonna give this one a 5. And I am giving it some credit for being bold with the colors, because at the end of the day, if this was like wooden and brown and boring, I probably would have gave it a 3 or something. So well done on giving it a shot. Next up is the Red Palace. Okay, so this house has an opposite problem that the other modern houses have. The other ones, from like the thumbnail and like the names, I just thought like, oh, I'm not gonna like this. But this one, I was like, ooh, the Red Palace, from a distance it looks nice, I'm gonna love this. But coming up close, it's too busy. There is too much going on. Part of the charm of a modern house is minimalism, even when there's stuff sticking out all over the place. And adding a textured siding with this textured red with like these like bricks and stuff, it's too much, right? It needs to be dialed back a little bit. I think if you took the siding off of this house and just made it like a flat kind of stone, it would work a lot better. They also love using these like kitchen lights for the outside. I get it. There's not a lot of modern outdoor lights in The Sims 3, but like, you're the developers, you could have made one, right? Like, you know, this many packs in, but whatever. Let's just jump inside. Okay, so this house is like the anti-Victorian, because when you come in, you have like the grand staircase up to the second floor, but then immediately off of it, you have the kitchen, which is definitely more of a modern touch, so I really like that. I don't mind the black kitchen. Usually when they do black kitchens, it's too black and you can't see anything. I think this is just perfect. Ooh, they have an orchid on the table. Absolutely love orchids. But I mean, like, looking through the whole floor plan, it's a little bit kind of big and empty, a little Sunset Valley-ish. And like, my argument with them is, why would you make big houses if you're not going to utilize it? But this isn't as bad as other houses that we have seen. I love the black bathroom. I actually really like the style of the bedrooms. As a whole, I think it's like better than I expected, but I'm still not blown away. Oh, this blue though. I know it's a kid's room, but like, it's a little bit too blue for me, but that's something that you could fix relatively easily. Now, what I will say is that this house is kind of in that too big situation where like you're gonna have your Sims all over the place. My advice, delete this staircase, because on the third floor, then you have all these seats in the fire pit, stairs down. Oh, the pool's up here though, so I guess you can't delete the staircase. I don't know. I just think there's like a little too many paths in this house. It's funny because in the absence of all those like Sunset Valley and Riverview problems, light green bathrooms and houses that don't make any sense, Isla Paradiso has different problems and more nitpicky problems when you compare them to each other. So at the end of the day, it's a pretty good modern house, but I mean, I have to grade against the curve as to the other ones that we've seen, and this is kind of missing the mark, but it's still a concerted effort. Really love the architecture, and I love the kind of concept, I guess. I'm gonna give it a 6.5. Sometimes a boy just needs a half, you know? Next up is the Spanish Queen. I wish I was Spanish so I could make a joke about myself, but I mean, the first thing I see when I look at this is royalty. It definitely has that regal aesthetic. I didn't know if they were gonna be able to pull this off. A lot of times they like to say, this house is fit for a king, but then it's like weird and ugly. This kind of looks palacey, if it makes sense. Even though it's a little bit smaller, it's still like very grand. It's, I don't know, it's kind of like the island version of McMansion, if you know what I mean, right? Like, they're going for like the big bay windows, they're going for like the statement entrance kind of thing. I don't hate it, and in fact, I think it's very different from a lot of the houses we've seen, not just in this world, but in the game in general. And the landscaping is exquisite. So let's just jump inside and see if we find our first green bathroom. I'm getting worried we're not gonna see one. Actually, come to think of it, I don't see any bathrooms yet, so let's just get started. It's a little too drab on the inside, but I mean, at the end of the day, that's kind of how like regal houses are. Like, old money has a different aesthetic than new money, and this is definitely more on the old money side. Now these bar stools make a little bit more sense. What doesn't make sense is the foosball table, but I mean, there's like foosball tables all over The Sims 3 that don't make any sense. Ooh, the kitchen's a little more old-fashioned as well. I really like that they pay attention to those details. Well, not all of the time, but usually they do. And going upstairs, I see both bathrooms. I don't see anything green. Let's turn on the lights so we can just double check the colors. Oh, it's actually more of a baby poo now that I turn on the lights. I kind of wish I didn't do that, but I mean, if we're only gonna get one kind of this tile in the whole world, then so be it. Going upstairs, I like how like each bathroom is connected to a different bedroom, so it's like very efficient. Wake up, go right into your own shower kind of thing, especially for the single bedroom. And then going downstairs, you have everything you need in a relatively small space. The outside area isn't too crazy. Actually, this is mostly a parking lot, right? So if you go like around here, it's not too bad. It's not like you can run all over the roof like in the last house. I'm actually way more impressed than I thought I'd be at this house. I thought it was gonna be an EA disaster, but fortunately it wasn't too bad. Really like the outside, love the bricks, love the windows. I like the inside as well, but it's not quite a 10 for me. I'm gonna give it a 9.5 though. I particularly kind of love the shell and the concept. I might steal this idea for one of my builds. Shh, don't tell anybody. And last but not least is the Tide Runner. Now, before we review this house, I have to tell you something. If you're gonna play Island Paradise, the first thing you should do is jump into this family and delete them and delete the houseboat, because this thing is notorious for causing like slow running and glitches and stuff, which is ironic because the lot description says this is a speedy houseboat. Well, the boat may be speedy, but your game won't be if you keep this one. I'm not 100% sure why. It's just every time I search like how to make Isla Paradiso run better, they always say to delete this house and to delete this family. So I don't know. You can remake them if you want, but like for me, there's enough Sims in this world, so I don't really need them. That being said, it's very much my aesthetic. I love the kind of like eco lifestyle-y shipping container concept. I like the roofs. It's very dynamic because something like this can go very boxy really quick, and I think they made like enough details to break it up to make it look nice and interesting and fun. I don't know, I like it. I know a lot of people don't like the shipping container thing, so you're probably gonna hate it, but either way, we're deleting it soon, so it doesn't matter. Let's jump inside just for the hell of it. Yeah, I don't think you're gonna be missing much from this place. It kind of looks like an apartment. Like when you zoom in, I don't know, it doesn't really suit the like the houseboat vibe. This red kitchen, I don't know, like I love the Union Jack, but this is not a color scheme for a kitchen. Going upstairs, they continue the red and blue into the bathrooms, which is not something I love. The bedroom has barely anything in it. You could have given me a second nightstand, for goodness sake. Oh look, and we have Mel B's bed next to Ginger Spice's bookcase, Baby Spice's wallpaper, Sporty Spice's lamp, and there's nothing posh about the room at all. I was actually considering not even doing this review because I know a lot of people delete this houseboat, but I thought if there's anyone who didn't know to delete this houseboat, this would make it hyper clear to them, so that way you would see it and know exactly which one to do. That being said, it's not the worst houseboat, but it's not in one of the strongest, and if we're being honest, I have to account like functionality in. I know I've been talking a lot about floor plans and all that, but if a houseboat breaks your game, then it's a 0, right? So maybe we should just stick with 0. I am gonna stick with it, because at the end of the day, if this house causes all those problems, it doesn't matter how pretty it is, and it's not even that pretty, so I don't know. I just think if it's gonna destroy your game and we're gonna delete it anyway, why even give it any points, right? Well, that does it for all of the builds in Isla Paradiso. What did you guys think? I was really impressed. I was afraid that we just got lucky in the first episode, and I don't think this episode was as strong as the first one, but still way stronger than most of the worlds, especially Sunset Valley, Riverview, and Twin Brook. So I definitely think that this world is highly underrated, and it gets a bad rep because everyone says like, oh, it's broken, it doesn't work, it lags. That is true, but there are modern fixes to kind of get it running again. And now that we have that, I've really enjoyed reviewing this world. I really enjoyed playing it on stream with you guys, and overall, I think it gives me hope that maybe the rest of the series is gonna be a little bit better. But what did you guys think? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Have you guys played in this world before, or have you been too afraid to try? And if you have been too afraid to try, I'm gonna leave a link down below to a video by acottonsock where she helps you get Island Paradise up and running nice and smooth, just in case you want to play it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe for some more Sims content. And like I said earlier, this is the final episode for Isla Paradiso, so don't forget to head over to my community tab as well so you can vote on which world you want to see next. Thanks again. I'm loving this series so much. I can't wait to see what you guys pick next. Boom.